Hey guys, welcome to our select version of our Ball in the Boot bracket breakdowns here. Sponsored by Gridiron Football, of course. So make sure to go check out our content at gridironfootballusa.com. I'm joined by Grant Sashere at Crescent City Sports and Rigorous Sports Media. Make sure to give him a follow and to make sure to subscribe to his channel as well. As also join him on the great show Friday nights in the Bayou too. So make sure to go and check that show out. We actually gave our initial thoughts after to the semifinal matchups after the quarterfinals went final. Now I'm also joined by Alex Allison and Daryl Felker, two of our beat writers here at Gridiron Football. Now, guys, let's go and talk about Division One select. Let's talk about the big boys here, and we got some interesting results. St. Thomas More and the Car. And the Car was able. These are two powers in Louisiana high school football. St. Thomas More was actually up by 14-0 early on against And the Car, and that's when And the Car was like, okay, all right, we woke up, and they scored 42 points and then won 42-14. But And the Car was able to overcome some adversity, but And the Car punches their ticket to the semifinals where they'll take on the Catholic High Bears. Once again, Rumble and Catholic going down to the wire. Nothing surprising there. This has become a rivalry in the playoffs the last couple of years. And Cohen LeBlanc threw the game-winning touchdown on a double pass to Maury Clayton. And that proved to be the difference in that one.
Actually, Jason, give context to that. Like literally the drive before, Romo scored on a double pass as well.
Yeah.
But no, actually, Romo took the lead on a double pass.
Such a ridiculous game.
Yeah. That was ridiculous. But it shows you what kind of rivalry this has been the last couple of seasons. But guess what game we get? And the Car and Catholic High. That is going to be an awesome one. And Grant will be there. Trust me, when he got that text from Kid Trey Hands, like, hey, these are your options. And I think in less than 0.2 seconds, Grant replied with Car and Catholic, and I definitely agree with him there. Let's go to the bomb side of the bracket. How about John Curtis? You can't go against JT. 31-10 win over Turling's Catholic. And John Curtis, the Patriots, trying to get back to the Superdome in their way. One of the best stories in Louisiana high school football this year, that's been the Ash Trojans. And a lot of people have been saying that And the Car has been 1A, Ash has been 1B. Well, we could get that matchup in the Dome, but hey, you got to go through the greatest high school football coach of all time in JT Curtis, and the John Curtis Patriots. So, like Division One non-select, we got four awesome teams playing in Division One select as well. Grant, first, your overall thoughts, which will be two outstanding matchups in the semifinals in this bracket.
Yeah, actually, we'll do a feature story on this. I mean, I'm not sure when the show will be released, but because it's pre-recorded, FYI. But by the time the show gets released, an article should be released, or if not, the day after. As you know, this game has to be. It's a full feature story of itself. You got two of the biggest dynasty, two dynasties, really in the last 10 years, really. Because if you think about it, Car's won 6 state championships. One in the early 90s under Don Ronnie. One in 2012, I believe it was under Jabbar Jaluk.
I think it was, yeah.
Jabbar Jaluk, I think it was 2012. And then they won 4 straight from 2016 to 2019. 4 of those were won under Bryce Brown. And in that same time frame, talk about the mid-2010s, Catholic also started their dynasty. They won the first state championship under Dale Weiner, and then since then have been to the state championship. I believe it was like 5 of the last 7 years. I know because they went to 2017. So they went to in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. Oh my God, they were 6 of the last 7 years. So 6 of the last 7 years. I mean, and had won 5 of those.
Yeah.
Well, no, 5 of the last 7 years. 6 of the last 7, and 1 5.
They lost to Curtis in the Dome, and they lost to Rummel. Yep.
Yeah, so that's 5. So they've won 5 of the last 7 and been to the state championship 6 of the last 7. So these are two of the biggest brands right now, not only in South Louisiana, but also Louisiana and even nationally, right? Because Carr, they got their documentary. Everyone knows about Carr, the athletes they produce. Catholic, same thing. Catholics produce a lot of great players. Right now, they have Blaine Bradford, who's the number one safety in the country for the class of 2026. Blaise Tomas is one of the top offensive linemen for the class of 2026. They got dudes all over the place, and it seems like every 2-3 years they have a blue chip recruit coming out of Catholic high school. So these are two of the biggest dynasties in Louisiana as a whole in the last 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, I mean that is going to be as far as like the top brand names and all of that matchups. Like, yeah, I mean it's hard to find one that beats Car and Catholic. Let's go and break that one down for sure. Car, a lot of people are saying they're the best team in the entire state, and like you mentioned, they won 4 state championships in that run when there was a lot of those heavyweight matchups between Carr and Easton or Carr and Neville in those years, and now they stepped up in Division One. They've won the Catholic League. They dominated there. The one thing that they're trying to get since moving up to 5A is a state championship, and they have as good of a team if ever with this. And the Carr team in their way has been the team has really dominated Division One select the last 5-6 years, and that has been the Catholic High Bears in their way. So there's one team that can do it. It is the Catholic High Bears. I'm going to start with you. Daryl. Here. Who do you have?
Okay.
Do you have Car, or do you have the Catholic High Bears moving on?
As you guys have laid it out, this is probably like the top game in Louisiana for this weekend. I'm gonna roll with Carr. I think that they're gonna be able to pull it out this time. And I was really happy. Well, not necessarily happy, but really really surprised with their performance last week. Like you said, Jace, they went down 14-0. They got jumped out on really early, and it seems like no deficit is enough for Carr. It's like they can just turn it on at any given moment, take over the game, and never look back. And it's hard to go against that. So I'm going to roll with Carr, but I think Grant's going to be there. I'm sure a lot of other news stations, sports reporters, everybody's going to be there. So, if you're in the area, this is probably the game that you want to see. So, yeah, but, it's going to be a great game, but I have Carr coming out on top and going to the state championship.
So Daryl has Car going to the state championship as the number 1 seed. Do you agree, Alex, or are you rolling with the team that's really dominated this bracket the last couple of years?
I'm going to take Car. I watched Catholic in the Jamboree. I haven't seen Car. It feels a bit disrespectful to not watch what everybody says is the best team in the state of Louisiana and then say they aren't going to win. Like, I don't like. How am I the expert on the topic? There are people that know a lot more about this team, know about both of these teams than I do. To be honest, this isn't a game I'm the authority on, so I'm going to go with consensus here. I'm going to take Car to win.
All right, Grant. I know you follow the Cougars really closely, and you follow really both these programs really closely. So, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, maybe Carr more so because they're in New Orleans, but I've covered Catholic in the past. Of course, with Gridiron, with Labor King. I know all about Catholic because they're the preeminent team in the Baton Rouge, the same way that Carr is the preeminent team of New Orleans area in recent years. But I'm gonna have to go stick with my pick with Carr. This game would be close, right? Because if Carr, let's say hypothetically, if Carr beats the living crap out of Catholic, then you're gonna start asking the question: can anyone beat a Carr? Because if Catholic can't, can't play in a close game with Carr, then who can? Catholic's really the only hope for everybody else to beat Carr because right now Carr is just a rolling locomotive that cannot be stopped. Casey Jones is manning that thing, and so that's all you need to know. But I think Carr, these are both evenly matched teams. Both have really good quarterbacks. Both have really good offensive lines, receiving core, running backs. We all know about both the defenses. This is the game of the year, in my opinion. I think this is the game of the year. I know that, of course, we talked about all the games that Ash had, and Rustin and Neville had, but to me, this is the game of the year because of what these two programs have done in the last 10 to 15 years. Between these two programs since 2010, I mean, they've probably been to close to 20 state championship appearances.
Pretty much between the two.
I mean, between the two, damn near. I mean, a little over 15, just above 15, maybe above, just below 20. But 11 state champ. Oh, well, Catholics won 10 state championships between these two programs since the year 2012. Since that was Carr's first championship, and then of course, both teams started winning state championships down the line. Mm-hmm. So this is the game. To me, this is the game of the year right here. This Calvary Catholic. Everyone was kind of warning. Everyone that knew Ontario kind of will hold back on the covering a car because we all knew that they were probably going to play Catholic in the semifinals. Now it's here, so we're all excited. But I'm going to pick Carr to win 35-28. Carr's going to win a close one at Morris Chef, and that's official. The game will be played at Morris Chef. So I will not be in the press box. I'll be freezing my butt off on the sidelines.
You get to really experience that speed on the field. I mean, you get to really appreciate that when you're out on the field seeing the guys play. But I know I'm a Catholic High alum.
No, Jay's gonna jinx it. Jay's gonna jinx it. Reverse jinx. Here we go. Oh well, I picked Catholic because I picked go against Catholic because I knew they were going to win, so I didn't want to jinx Catholic, even though I'm wrong. He makes that excuse every time, guys. Why? It's coming, guys. It's coming. It's coming. Go ahead, Jason.
All right, thanks, Grant. Basically, a lot of Catholic High fans and alum not gonna like this one. But I'm rolling with them in the car.
The reverse jinx is in play, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, and the car, man. What can you say about them? I mean, they're so great. I mean, John Johnson at quarterback. They got Teron Francis, his great receiving core. They can run the ball. They got the best defensive line in the state as well. I mean, there's really no weakness on this end of the car football team. And another thing is what is the weakness on this team? And the thing is, when they get punched in the mouth, they can overcome it. It's like, that's fine, that's cute. They'll get up by 14, get up by 21. That's cute. And then they just turn on the lights and they put it on you. So
the equivalent of the
with Bryce Brown and his on the card team. A lot of times against those Warren Easton teams, they'll get down by 14 and no panic. I mean, there's no panic on that sideline. So this team takes on the demeanor of their head coach. They really do. And that's why they're so good. Not only they're talented, they're well coached, they're disciplined. But if there's one team that can derail this season throughout the car, it is Catholic High. And I was talking to Grant about this when we were down on the field for the LSU game. I'm not sure if it's a close game if Carr wins this one. Now that's what I'm worried about because if it's tied in the fourth quarter, Catholic has found ways somehow. I don't even know how they found ways to win, but Catholic just finds ways to win. So if Carr is going to win this one, they're going to have to, get some separation from Catholic. Because in my opinion, if this goes down to the last couple minutes of the game and it's a tie ball game, Catholic will win this football game. They'll find a way to win it. So that's my thoughts on that one. But I think Carr has a chance to kind of pull away and win by maybe about 2 touchdowns, make it comfortable maybe in the fourth quarter if they can do that. Carr's going to win this football game. But if this is a tie ball game, Catholics found ways to win games like that. So they're comfortable winning games like that. So, but in my prediction, I'm going to pick Carr. So I think Carr is the best team in the state. I picked Carr before the bracket was even released. So I got to roll with the best team that's proven it all season long, and that's the Carr Cougars. But that is going to be an awesome game for sure. Now, let's go to the bottom side of the bracket too. Now, this isn't one to sleep on either. I mean, John Curtis has been really good in this playoff run. Not the best regular season they had. In fact, it was their first time they had a losing record in the regular season since 1969, and that was JT Curtis' first year. But, hey, it's technically a winning season now for JT Curtis because they've won these games in the playoffs. So they beat a really good Akeenian team. A lot of people including us, had in the state championship game. Then they go the next after being Brother Martin and beating them twice this year in the Catholic League. Then they beat Acadiana. Then they go and beat Trowens Catholic on the road as well by 21 points. Now, guess what your prize is now? Defeat really one of the best stories this year in the Ash Trojans. They've been undefeated in one of the toughest districts in the state. We've got Ruston, Neville, West Monroe, and go undefeated in that district says a whole lot. Carson Sellers at quarterback. Everybody knows JT Lindsay at running back. We got 2 Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game commits at wide receiver. So their offense can definitely score, but their defense has stepped up big in the playoffs. I mean, anytime you can hold Evangel to 6 points as well. That's going to be a great football game. John Curtis, they've done it before. They've won 28 state championships. They know something or two about winning these type of games. Alexander's trying to really overcome that hurdle, right, of going to the state championship and winning the state championship. So some got to give here. So, Grant, give me your reaction first to this one, and what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah. So I do not trust John Curtis at all. I trust JT Curtis. That's the reason why a lot of people have that completely written off John Curtis. Other than that, if JT was not the coach, then I think a lot of people would have, right? But JT gets his teams ready to go for the playoffs. I think the only time that I remember John Curtis ever losing, maybe early on, was in the quarterfinals, and that was a few years ago in 2021. I think he maybe actually lost the second round, but I don't remember. It was a few years ago. But they got knocked out kind of early. Usually when they get to the semifinals, this is where you don't want to play this Curtis team. However, the issue I have with Curtis and why I don't think they were going to win this game is simply because they're not explosive. Alexandria has a lot of explosiveness on offense. This is Turlings. I mean, they're a great team, but they don't have the explosiveness that Alexandria has, nor do they run the beer like Acadiana does. So it's not like you're practicing, because when they beat Acadiana, it shocked a lot of people, but they also remember Acadiana running severe. So you're just basically playing against yourself, right? So if you're playing against yourself, you have a hard like you already know what the team tendencies are because you do that same thing, right? So, but Alexandria's different. They're a spread offense. They have a great young quarterback at Carson Sellers. JT Lindsay, of course, we all know is a LSU come in. They got a lot of other great. Jimmy Duncan, the receiver, is another great player. And they got a pretty good defense. I know the defense is giving us some points. They still have a pretty good defense. If John Curtis wants to win this game, for one, they have to find ways to get points on the board. That's been killing them all year. Yeah. You have to finish drives. You have to put points on the board. You cannot turn the ball over. That's another thing. They've had a hard time not trying to turn the ball over. But also you need to put pressure on Carson Sellers, right? You have to make Carson Sellers beat you, and when you do try to make Carson Sellers beat you, you got to get to him early. He's a younger quarterback, so I wonder how JT's gonna scheme his defense, especially against a young quarterback like Carson Sellers. Carson Sellers has been great all year, but remember, he's still a sophomore quarterback.
Yeah. So you're going to go with Alexandria.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Now, Alex and Daryl, y'all both seen them in person. Y'all both seen Ash in person, and both in impressive wins. First, with you, Alex, you saw them against Ruston, and that was an incredible game that Ash was able to find a way to win. So, your thoughts on this matchup and Ash and their chances of going to the Dome against John Curtis?
So, Ash has to win this game. If Ash does not beat John Curtis now, I don't know when they ever will. Because this is the weakest John Curtis has looked in ages. And this is the best Ash team in ages.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like this past weekend when Ohio State lost to Michigan.
Yeah.
And they're like, all of the pressure was on Ohio State to win that game. And when they lose, it's like, when are you ever going to beat them again? That's what it feels like. Everything in the world, every single signal is saying this is the best chance Ash has to beat a John Curtis team. That is huge. There's going to be a lot of pressure on them, and that might matter. That being said, there's a reason why they're expected to win this game. Because the team is so talented. They knocked off Ruston. They blew out Neville, which matters so much. And when we talk about what I think most people expect of the Edna Carr-Ash potential state championship game, that is going to be something playing in people's minds when they're thinking about the final result. I'm going to take Ash to win this game. I think they have a chance to win this game comfortably. I think Grant did a great job breaking this down. They're the more explosive team. They're so talented, offense and defense. Even when they give up points, they're situationally really good. They know how to play at such a high level in this going into this game. I think they're going to beat John Curtis.
All right, so we got 2 for 2 for Ash. Daryl, you saw them beat down a good level football team in person, and against John Curtis. Though it's John Curtis. So are you with the crowd here, or are you going against the grain here and picking Curtis with an upset?
I'm going to roll with the crowd as well. I do want to start by saying John Curtis definitely made me bite my tongue going against them last week. Thought that Tarleton's Catholic was going to put up more of a fight, but yeah, no, you definitely did try to tell me. It's JT Curtis. I don't know what I was thinking, but hey, they showed up, 21-point win. That's huge. But I mean, Grant, you kind of hit it on the head. Ash has so many things going right for them. Hey, it's going to be really tough for John Curtis to beat them. I mean, I saw them against Neville, and their defense looked. I mean, I know they allowed 32 points last game, but against Neville, one of the top teams in the state, they looked lights out. And I mean, John Curtis is going to have to find a way to score very consistently just to keep up with how explosive the Ash offense is. I mean, I do think Grant had a great point with the sophomore quarterback Carson Sellers.
Yeah.
If they can keep the ball in his hands, make him make decisions, maybe he makes a few mistakes. But if they allow JT Lindsay to run all over all night, I don't see this being a game because they're just not going to be able to keep up. But John Curtis is John Curtis, and I mean, yeah, it's hard to count him out. I'm going to roll with Ash just from what I've seen. But I mean, I definitely think it may. I definitely think John Curtis is going to at least hang around in this game for a little bit.
Alex, you have
One point I do want to make. I do agree that John Curtis's best chance is trying to force a young quarterback in Carson Sellers to make a mistake. It's not easy to do. He didn't throw an interception this season until week 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not mistake prone. So it's going to be really tough.
So here's what I'm going to say about this game. You're going to find out how this game goes early, because if John Curtis gets a lead on Ash, John Curtis can make this very interesting, because guess what? They get to run their offense. They can slow the game down. They can limit possessions, and that type of game can tense up a young Carson Sellers, like Grant mentioned, because of limit their possessions. If they can play with a lead, that is John Curtis's best shot here, because they can play ground control, keep the ball away from Ash. That's their best shot. But if Ash comes like they've been doing all year long and just scoring explosive plays and jumping out to a 14, maybe a 14, 17-point lead, whatever, then Ash is going to win this comfortably, because John Curtis cannot play that type of game where they have to come back and down by multiple possessions to try to keep up with Ash's offense. So John Curtis's defense is going to make a key role here and see how this game goes. If they can slow down this Ash offense, they can upset Ash. But if Ash's offense has done what they've done all season long, and they score quickly and early on John Curtis to set the tone, I think whoever sets the tone here in this game wins the football game. So, because it dictates what kind of game it's going to be. So, with that being said, though, I'm going to go with Ash. I think they've been the best team. I mean, anytime you go undefeated in that district, I mean, that's saying something. And and I think it's like Alex mentioned, if it's not now, it's not never. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Ash to go to the dome, but it feels weird because once again, all four of us are going against John Curtis, and what happens with that. So we'll find out and see how that goes, and we'll see if we get number one versus number two. But there's two teams that can ruin the party. It's Catholic High and it's John Curtis. So we'll see how this goes in Division One Select. So I appreciate Grant, Alex, and Daryl for hopping on here for Division One Select. our semifinal matches. Man, these are some two big ones here in the state of Louisiana. For all of our bracket breakdowns, make sure to go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well.